In a mansion filled with luxury but empty of love, two lonely children discover that the key to healing their broken family might just lie in the warmth of a stranger's kitchen and the simple magic of a homemade meal. The Wellington Mansion stands like a fortress against the morning sky, its towering walls hiding the loneliness within. In the grand dining room, 10-year-old Sophia and 8-year-old Marcus sit at opposite ends of a table that could seat 20. Their expensive clothes hang perfectly pressed, but their faces carry the weight of children who have everything except what they need most. Maria Santos enters carrying a silver tray. She's been the family's head chef for 3 years, hired after graduating from culinary school with honors. Her warm smile falters slightly as she sets down plates of perfectly prepared Eggs Benedict with hollandaise sauce that took her an hour to perfect. "Good morning, Miss Sophia, Master Marcus," Maria says gently, her slight accent carrying notes of home-cooked meals and grandmother's hugs. "I made your breakfast just the way the nutritionist recommended." Sophia doesn't even look up from her phone. She pushes the plate away with one finger as if touching it might contaminate her. "I'm not hungry," she declares, though her stomach betrays her with a quiet rumble. Marcus follows his sister's lead, crossing his arms defiantly. "It looks weird," he announces, though he's never even tasted Maria's cooking. "We want cereal, the expensive kind from Switzerland." Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. Maria's heart sinks, but she maintains her professional composure. This same scene is played out every morning for weeks. She watches as the children she's grown to care about reject not just her food, but seemingly her entire presence. Their father, Robert Wellington, barely acknowledges any of them, buried in his phone conducting business deals that span continents. As Maria clears the untouched plates, she notices Sophia stealing glances at the food longingly. The child is hungry. They both are. But something deeper than appetite is at play here. These children are testing boundaries, searching for something real in a world that feels artificial and cold. Over the following weeks, the Wellington household becomes a parade of rejected meals. Maria pours her heart into every dish, drawing from her classical training and family traditions. She prepares delicate French pastries that would make Parisian chefs weep with envy, Italian risottos that could grace the finest restaurants, and American classics elevated to gourmet status. Each morning brings the same ritual of rejection. Sophia and Marcus have turned refusing Maria's food into an art form, finding increasingly creative ways to dismiss her efforts without even tasting them. They claim allergies they don't have, preferences that change daily, and standards that seem impossibly high for children who survive on processed snacks and takeout. Robert Wellington finally notices when his assistant mentions the household's food expenses have tripled due to waste. During a rare family dinner, if it can be called that when everyone sits in silence, he addresses his children with the same tone he uses for board meetings. "Your behavior toward Maria is unacceptable," he states, not looking up from his tablet. "She's a professional chef. You will eat what she prepares." But his words carry no warmth, no understanding of why his children might be acting out. To them, it's just another order from a father who treats them like employees, rather than family. Their rebellion only strengthens. Meanwhile, Maria begins to understand that this isn't really about her cooking. She watches these children navigate their vast, empty home like lost souls. They have tutors instead of teachers, scheduled activities, instead of friends and nannies who change as frequently as the seasons. She realizes they're not rejecting her food, they're rejecting another adult who might leave them behind. The breaking point comes when Maria overhears Sophia crying in her room after another rejected meal. Through the crack in the door, she sees the little girl sitting on her bed, clutching a worn photograph of a woman who must be her late mother, whispering, "I miss you, Mommy. Nothing tastes right without you." That night, Maria sits in her small staff quarters, staring at her own family photo. Her own children live thousands of miles away with her mother while she works to provide for them. She understands Sophia and Marcus more than they know. She too is hungry for something that can't be bought with money. The next morning, Maria makes a decision that could cost her job. Instead of preparing another elaborate breakfast, she walks into the dining room empty-handed and sits down at the table with the children. This breaks every protocol in the Wellington household handbook. "I want to tell you about my grandmother," Maria begins, ignoring Sophia's surprised look and Marcus's confused frown. "Her name was Esperanza, which means hope. She couldn't read or write, and she lived in a tiny house with a dirt floor. But she was the best cook I ever knew." She pulls out her phone and shows them a faded photo of an elderly woman with kind eyes and flour-dusted hands. "When I was your age, I was angry too. My parents worked all the time, and I felt invisible. But every Sunday, my grandmother would cook for our whole family. Not fancy food, just simple meals made with love." Sophia looks up from her phone. For the first time in weeks, something in Maria's voice has captured her attention. She used to say that food without love is just fuel, but food made with love becomes memory. Every meal she cooked told a story about our family, our history, where we came from. "When she died, I thought I'd lost those stories forever." Marcus, despite himself, scoots his chair closer. "What happened to the stories?" Maria smiles, the first genuine smile she's worn in the Wellington house. "I found them again when I learned to cook. Every time I make her recipes, she's with me. Every time I cook for people I care about, I'm sharing those stories." She pauses, looking directly at both children. "I know you miss your mother. I know this house feels empty without her. And I know that my food can't replace her cooking or her love. But maybe we could create some new stories together." For the first time since Maria arrived, the dining room falls into a different kind of silence. Not the cold absence of connection, but the warm pause before something beautiful begins. Maria stands up slowly, as if sudden movements might break the spell. "Would you like to help me cook something?" she asks quietly. "Not fancy chef food, just comfort food, the kind that hugs you from the inside." Sophia and Marcus exchange glances, communicating in that silent language that siblings share. After weeks of united rebellion, they're considering united cooperation. "We don't know how to cook," Sophia admits, her usual defiance replaced by something that sounds almost like vulnerability. "Neither did I when I was your age," Maria replies. "But my grandmother taught me that the best ingredient in any recipe is willingness to try." They follow Maria into the kitchen, a room they've never entered despite living in the house for years. It's like discovering a secret world. Maria pulls out a worn recipe card from her personal collection, not the laminated, professional cards she usually uses, but something handwritten in fading ink. "This is my grandmother's recipe for sopa de pollo, chicken soup," she explains. "But it's not just any chicken soup. This one has a secret ingredient that makes people cry." Marcus's eyes widen. "You mean it's too spicy?" Maria laughs, a sound that seems to warm the entire kitchen. "No, mijo. It makes people cry because it tastes like love, like home, like being cared for when the world feels too big and scary." She guides their small hands as they wash vegetables, teaching them to hold the knife safely as they cut carrots into uneven pieces. She doesn't correct their technique or worry about presentation. Instead, she tells them stories about her grandmother's garden, about cooking with her own children before she had to leave them behind for work, about the magic that happens when food is prepared with intention and care. As the soup simmers, filling the kitchen with aromas that seem to soften the hard edges of the mansion, something shifts in the children. Sophia asks about Maria's family. really listening to the answers. Marcus carefully stirs the pot, taking his responsibility seriously. When Maria tastes the soup and smiles with genuine approval, the children beam with pride they haven't felt in months. The aroma of the soup travels through the mansion like an invitation. Even Robert Wellington, who rarely notices anything happening in his own home, finds himself drawn to the kitchen by a scent that seems familiar yet impossible to place. He stops in the doorway, stunned by the scene before him. His children who haven't shown genuine emotion in months, are laughing with Maria as they set bowls on a simple kitchen table. Not the formal dining room with its crystal and china, but the humble staff table where real conversations happen. "Daddy!" Marcus calls out, noticing his father. "We made soup! Maria taught us her grandmother's recipe." For a moment, Robert hesitates. The kitchen feels foreign to him, too warm and alive compared to the controlled spaces he usually inhabits. But something in his son's voice, pure excitement without calculation, draws him forward. Maria serves the soup in simple ceramic bowls, garnishing each with fresh cilantro and a wedge of lime. The children watch nervously as their father takes his first spoonful, suddenly understanding that this moment means more than just a meal. Robert tastes the soup, and his face transforms. His carefully maintained composure cracks, and his eyes fill with unexpected tears. The children stare in amazement. They've never seen their father cry. "This tastes like..." Robert's voice breaks. "This tastes like something my mother used to make when I was sick, before the money, before the business, when we lived in that little apartment and she worked 3 jobs to keep us fed." He sets down his spoon with shaking hands. "I haven't thought about that in years. I haven't let myself remember what it felt like to be taken care of." Sophia reaches across the table and touches her father's hand, a gesture so simple yet revolutionary in their sterile world. "We miss Mommy," she whispers. "We miss feeling like a family." The dam breaks. Robert pulls his children into an embrace that's long overdue, and they cry together. Not tears of sadness, but tears of recognition, of remembering what they've lost and finding the courage to build something new. Maria watches from beside the stove, her own eyes wet with tears. She thinks of her grandmother's words. "Food without love is just fuel, but food made with love becomes memory." Tonight, they've created a memory that will nourish this family far longer than any meal. In the weeks that follow, the Wellington household transforms in ways that can't be measured in dollars or square footage. The formal dining room sits empty, while the family gathers around the kitchen table for meals prepared together. Maria no longer cooks alone. Sophia and Marcus have become her eager assistants, learning not just recipes, but the stories that make them meaningful. Robert starts coming home earlier, drawn by the sounds of laughter and the smells of home cooking. He asks Maria to teach him the basics, admitting that he's forgotten how to take care of himself, let alone his children. His first attempt at scrambled eggs is a disaster that has them all laughing until their sides ache. The children's. Tutors notice changes too. Sophia's essays become more thoughtful, filled with stories about family traditions and cultural connections. Marcus's math improves when Maria teaches him to measure ingredients and calculate cooking times. They're learning that education can happen anywhere when it's rooted in love and purpose. One evening, as they're preparing dinner together, Sophia looks up at Maria with serious eyes. "Will you stay with us? Not as our chef, but as family?" Maria's heart swells with an emotion she can't name. "Mija, I'm not going anywhere. We're going to keep making memories together, one meal at a time." Robert, who's been quietly listening, while attempting to chop onions without crying, clears his throat. "Maria, I want to bring your children here. Your mother too, if she's willing. This house is too big for just us, and, well, family shouldn't be separated." The wooden spoon slips from Maria's hand, clattering to the floor. For a moment she can't speak, can't breathe. The possibility of having her own children close, of creating a true blended family built on love rather than obligation, seems too wonderful to be real. Marcus tugs on her apron. That means we'd have more brothers and sisters, right? And a real grandmother who can teach us more recipes? Through her tears, Maria nods. It means we become the family we were all searching for. The morning sun filters through the kitchen. Windows of the Wellington estate, casting golden rectangles across countertops that tell the story of a family transformed, where once stood pristine marble surfaces unmarked by human touch. Now flour dusts every corner, colorful spice jars crowd the windowsills, and children's handprints decorate the lower cabinets like badges of belonging. 6 months have passed, since that tearful evening when a simple bowl of soup cracked open the walls around 3 broken hearts, and the changes that have bloomed in this house run deeper than anyone could have imagined. Maria Santos moves through her kitchen with the easy confidence of someone who has finally found her place in the world. Her movements are still professional, still practiced, but now they carry an additional layer of joy that transforms every gesture into something resembling a dance. As she kneads masa for tortillas, her hands work with the muscle memory inherited from generations of women who understood that feeding people is one of the purest forms of love. The kitchen around her hums with activity that would have been unthinkable just months ago. 12-year-old Carlos, Maria's son, who arrived 3 months ago with eyes full of questions and a heart guarded by too many goodbyes, stands at the island, carefully dicing onions for the evening's dinner. His technique isn't perfect. The pieces vary in size, and he still holds the knife with the uncertain grip of a child learning to trust sharp things. But his concentration is absolute. He's discovered that cooking requires a particular kind of focus that quiets the worried voice in his head, the one that spent years wondering when his mother would come home, if she would come home, whether loving someone meant watching them leave. Beside him, 7-year-old Elena chatters away in the rapid-fire Spanish that flows like music through the house now, her small hands busy rolling perfectly imperfect balls of cookie dough. She's explaining to anyone who will listen why her cookies are going to be the best ones ever made, a confidence that seems to radiate from every pore of her being. Elena adapted to life in the mansion with the remarkable resilience of childhood, finding magic in every corner of a house that once felt cold and empty. She's appointed herself the official taste tester for every dish, a role she takes with the seriousness of a professional food critic and the enthusiasm of a child who has never known hunger. At the breakfast nook, Esperanza sits with a cup of café de olla, watching her grandchildren with eyes that hold 70 years of wisdom and wonder. Maria's mother arrived speaking only Spanish and carrying nothing but a small suitcase and a wooden spoon worn smooth by decades of use. The language, barrier that everyone feared would be insurmountable, dissolved within days, because love, it turns out, speaks every language fluently. Sophia and Marcus began learning Spanish with the determined enthusiasm of children who have discovered that communication goes far beyond words, while Esperanza picked up English phrases with the patient persistence of a woman who has spent her life adapting to new circumstances for the sake of family. The transformation in Sophia has been perhaps the most remarkable of all. The 10-year-old who once pushed away every gesture of care with the ruthless efficiency of someone protecting themselves from disappointment now moves through the kitchen with quiet authority, checking on simmering pots and adjusting seasonings with intuitive understanding. She's discovered that she has her grandmother Esperanza's palate, able to taste when something needs just a pinch more salt or a squeeze of lime. This morning, she stands at the stove stirring a pot of pozole, her face serious with concentration, as she listens to Esperanza's gentle corrections, delivered in a mixture of Spanish and broken English that somehow makes perfect sense. 8-year-old Marcus has found his calling in baking, drawn to the precise measurements and predictable chemistry of flour, sugar, and heat. His first attempts were disasters that had everyone laughing until they cried, but he persevered with the stubborn determination that runs in the Wellington bloodline. Now he can produce dinner rolls that rival those from the finest restaurants, and his chocolate chip cookies have become legendary among the household staff. This morning, he's attempting his most ambitious project yet, a 3-layer birthday cake for Carlos, whose 13th birthday next week will mark not just another year of life, but the first birthday he's ever celebrated with his mother, present. Robert Wellington enters the kitchen carrying his laptop, but for once it remains closed. The man who once conducted business deals during every waking moment now starts his mornings with family breakfast, finding that the problems that once seemed urgent pale in comparison to the simple pleasure of watching his children discover who they're becoming. He's learned to make pancakes, not well, but with enthusiasm that makes up for technical shortcomings, and takes immense pride in his ability to brew coffee that doesn't inspire complaints. His transformation has been perhaps the most gradual but also the most profound. Success in business had taught him to value efficiency and results, but success in family requires patience, presence, and the willingness to fail spectacularly while everyone watches. The kitchen island serves as mission control for the Wellington family's daily operations, but instead of business documents and financial reports, it's covered with homework assignments, art projects, and shopping lists written in multiple languages. Elena's drawing of the family, all 7 of them holding hands in front of a house covered with hearts, holds the place of honor on the refrigerator, right next to Marcus's report card showing improvement in every subject, and Sophia's essay about cultural traditions that made her teacher cry. Carlos's soccer schedule hangs beside Elena's piano lesson reminders, while Maria's work schedule has been reduced to part-time, allowing her to focus on the job that matters most, being present for all of these children who need her in different ways. The breakfast ritual has evolved into something that resembles controlled chaos, but feels like pure joy. Everyone has their role, their responsibility, their place at the table that's always waiting for them. Esperanza makes fresh tortillas on the comal, the smell of corn masa filling the air with the scent of tradition and continuity. Maria scrambles, eggs with chorizo, teaching Sophia the secrets of perfect texture while answering Elena's endless questions about why eggs turn white when they cook. Carlos sets the table with mathematical precision, ensuring that every fork and napkin is placed exactly where it should be, while Marcus arranges fresh fruit cut into shapes that make Elena giggle. Robert has learned to stay out of the way during the morning choreography, understanding that his role is to appreciate rather than direct. He sits at the corner of the kitchen island with his coffee, watching his children. All of his children now, because that's how he thinks of Carlos and Elena, navigate the comfortable chaos of a real family breakfast. Sometimes he catches Maria's eye and sees reflected there the same amazement he feels. How did they get so lucky? How did broken pieces arrange themselves into something so beautiful? The conversations around the breakfast table flow between languages and generations, covering everything from school projects to weekend plans to philosophical discussions about whether pancakes taste better with syrup or honey. Esperanza tells stories about Maria's childhood, revealing embarrassing details that make everyone laugh and help the other children understand that their composed, capable mother was once a little girl who burned rice and cried over broken eggs. Maria shares memories of her own grandmother, keeping those stories alive for another generation, while creating new traditions that blend the old with the present. The house itself has changed to accommodate its new residents and their new rhythms. The formal dining room, with its intimidating crystal chandelier and table that seated 20, has been converted into a study space where homework happens under supervision and art projects spread across surfaces that were once reserved for business entertaining. The children's artwork covers walls that once displayed expensive paintings chosen by interior designers who prioritized aesthetics over meaning. Family photos crowd every surface, not the formal portraits that once stood in isolated frames, but candid shots of cooking disasters, birthday celebrations, and ordinary moments that capture the extraordinary transformation of a house into a home. Sunday dinners have become legendary events that sometimes require multiple tables to accommodate everyone who considers themselves part of this extended family. The guest list includes other household staff who were once treated as invisible, neighbors who have been drawn into the Wellington orbit by genuine warmth rather than social obligation, and sometimes perfect strangers who arrived as service providers but stayed as friends. Last Sunday, the plumber who came to fix a kitchen sink ended up staying for dinner and sharing stories about his own grandmother's cooking. The week before, Sophia's tutor joined them for a meal that lasted until sunset, teaching everyone card, games from her childhood in Ireland. These gatherings showcase the beautiful fusion that happens when different cultures meet with open hearts. The table groans under the weight of Maria's Mexican specialties, Esperanza's indigenous recipes that have been passed down through generations, Robert's attempts at recreating childhood comfort foods from his working-class upbringing, and experimental dishes invented by the children who approach cooking with the fearless creativity of youth. Carlos has perfected a fusion taco that combines traditional carnitas with ingredients he discovered in the mansion's herb garden. Elena specializes in desserts that look like abstract art but taste like heaven. Sophia and Marcus have become experts at bread making, producing loaves that disappear as quickly as they emerge from the oven. The business empire that once consumed Robert's every waking thought has been restructured to support rather than dominate his new priorities. He's stepped back from day-to-day operations, delegating responsibilities to trusted partners while maintaining involvement in strategic decisions that align with his evolved values. The Wellington Foundation, established 6 months ago, focuses on bringing families together through cooking programs, ensuring that other children won't grow up as hungry for connection as his own once were. The foundation operates cooking schools in underserved communities, provides scholarships for culinary education, and supports programs that teach families to prepare healthy, culturally relevant meals together. The foundation's flagship program, Cooking Up Family, operates out of community centers and schools, providing not just cooking instruction but family therapy disguised as meal preparation. Maria serves as the program's director, bringing her understanding of how food can heal relationships to families struggling with their own disconnections. The program has waiting lists in every city where it operates, testament to the universal hunger for the kind of connection that happens when people prepare and share meals together. Every evening, as the family gathers around their kitchen table for dinner, the conversations reflect the depth of transformation that has occurred. They discuss books they're reading, places they want to travel, dreams they're nurturing, and problems they're solving together. The children's perspectives have broadened beyond the insular world of private tutors and exclusive activities. They ask questions about social justice, environmental responsibility, and their own roles in making the world better. Their privilege, once unconscious and isolating, has become a tool for positive change under the guidance of adults who understand that wealth without purpose is just accumulation. The kitchen itself has evolved into a laboratory for experimentation and learning. The children approach cooking with scientific curiosity, testing hypotheses about flavor combinations, and documenting their discoveries in recipe journals that have become treasured family artifacts. They've learned that cooking is chemistry, history, geography, and art all rolled into one delicious package. Their math skills improve through measuring ingredients, their reading comprehension develops through following complex recipes, and their cultural awareness expands through exploring cuisines from around the world. As the epilogue of their story unfolds each day, it becomes clear that the transformation of the Wellington family represents something larger than individual healing. They've become proof that authentic connection is possible across differences of culture, class, and circumstance when people approach each other with genuine curiosity and open hearts. Their story spreads through their community, inspiring other families to examine their own relationships and consider what they might be hungry for beyond material success. The taste of forever, it turns out, isn't found in any single dish or recipe. It lives in the accumulation of shared moments, in the patient teaching of traditions from one generation to the next, in the willingness to try new things and fail spectacularly while people who love you laugh and help you try again. It's in the understanding that family isn't just about blood relations, but about choosing to show up for each other, day after day, meal after meal, with consistency that creates security and love that creates belonging. Tonight, as they gather around their table for another Sunday feast, Maria looks at the faces surrounding her and sees reflected there the miracle of transformation. Sophia and Marcus, once guarded and hungry, now radiate the confidence of children who know they are loved unconditionally. Carlos and Elena have bloomed in the warmth of a stable home, their natural exuberance finding safe expression in a place where children are encouraged to be exactly who they are. Robert has rediscovered the man he was before success hardened, him finding that vulnerability and presence are greater achievements than any business victory. Esperanza sits at the head of the table like the matriarch she was always meant to be, her presence anchoring 3 generations in wisdom and continuity. The conversation flows around the table in the comfortable mixture of languages that has become their family's unique dialect. Plans for the upcoming week blend with memories of the past and dreams for the future. The food they share represents not just sustenance, but celebration, tradition, and hope. Each dish tells a story, each meal creates a memory, and each gathering reinforces the bonds that have transformed a collection of individuals into something greater than the sum of their parts. As Sophia raises her glass of homemade agua fresca and proposes her toast to family, the kind you're born into and the kind you choose. The words carry weight earned through months of patient rebuilding. Their chorus of "to family" rises into the evening air, carrying with it the promise of all the meals yet to be shared, all the stories yet to be told, all the love yet to be discovered in the simple act of breaking bread together. The taste of forever isn't found in perfection but in persistence, not in fancy ingredients, but in faithful presence, not in grand gestures but in the daily choice to show up with love. It lives in flour-dusted countertops and children's laughter, in imperfect meals prepared with perfect intention, in the understanding that home isn't a place but a feeling, and family isn't a structure but a choice renewed with every shared sunrise and every gathered sunset. Outside the kitchen windows, the sun sets over the estate in shades of gold and rose, painting the sky with the same warmth that fills the house below. Inside, a family that began with rejection and hunger continues their journey toward acceptance and abundance, knowing that the best recipes are written not on cards but on hearts, and the most important ingredients can't be bought but only given, freely, received gratefully, and shared generously with anyone hungry enough to believe that love, like bread, multiplies when broken and shared.